You mourn those people that you used to know, but I'm also very glad that I still get the chance to know you, because while the version of you that is before me today is perhaps a less vital and less physically able Glenn Cartman Loury, I also think he is a wiser and more patient Glenn Cartman Loury than the man who raised me. So you are a older and frailer man, but you're also a better one.
That's good to hear. It's for others to say, but I accept that with pride because it didn't have to be. We're recording a conversation here that will appear at the podcast. And we're talking about death, talking about the death of your mother. And it makes me think about the death of my father. Because as it happens, which was in 2018, September.
I remember.
We were on the phone with each other then. We were on a Zoom call recording an episode of The Glenn Show when I received, during the time that you and I were conversing for the record, a telephone call coming in from my sister informing me that my father had expired.
Your sister, who herself has since passed.
My wonderful sister, Leonette Loury Smith, who died much too young. And her husband has also died. God, Glenn, we're talking about all these people who are gone forever. Her husband, Eugene Wesley Smith, died, I don't know, about a year after he lost his wife, my sister.
It was about almost a year exactly, yeah.
So this is grim. The end is coming. The end is coming for all of us. I feel
Dad,
it.
why did you want to talk about this? This feels very bleak.
I wanted the relief of the unburdening of self. I wanted to share my trepidation with my namesake son. I wanted consolation. I wanted to be told it's going to be okay.
I don't know that. But you are okay right now. You have been okay for a long time. Now you're here. You have the relationships with your children have been fraught, but as life has progressed, it has gotten to a point where you are in a good place with all 5 of them, which was not true of your own father when he passed. And I think the goal of every generation is to do better than the one that came before it. So if you're looking for solace, you have accomplished that, and you will continue to accomplish that because your life is not done and your work is not finished. And I am not ready to lose you. So you can't go. I won't allow it.
Sounds good to me. You worry you're going to get a call one day saying your dad had a stroke and he didn't get up?
Well, that is a very specific worry of mine because you have had a stroke before. That is a very specific
age of 50.
Concern of mine. You know, I've gotten 3 phone calls like that. One that was, not to get even darker on this conversation, but shortly after Mom died, there was a call in the night about Tony. I remember the phone. I remember the phone ringing. It was like 4 a.m. And I'm not a spiritual person, but you get a call at 4 a.m. It's never a good phone call. I remember hearing you cry out from the floor beneath me.
Tony was my daughter, Tamara, your sister's husband, and he died in his mid-40s in his sleep from a heart failure that he never woke up from.
So you get a call like that. You get a call about your aunt. You get a call about your uncle. Your father is 76, a man who has had his share of health struggles and is 76. You know, you had surgery last year.
That's me.
Yes, that's you. I've watched you grow old. I remember when you used to be able to, when Clifford was the name of our dog, walk with him for miles. You used to be able to walk him into the ground. You and Ajume went on a walk once where you got lost and you walked like 10, 15 miles up the road and had to walk back.
Can't do that anymore.
You would go on long bike rides. I don't remember this, but in the family memory, there's a time when we lived in Cambridge and I was a very young child, and you put me on the back of your bike and you would ride me through Mount Auburn Cemetery. And that Glenn Loury Sr. is gone, as is the person I was at that time. We are all increasingly aged snapshots of the people that we were in the past as time progresses. That is inevitable. And you mourn those people that you used to know. But I'm also very glad that I still get the chance to know you, because while that person, the version of you that is before me today, is perhaps a less vital and less physically able Glenn Loury, I also think he is a wiser and more patient Glenn Loury than the man who raised me. So you are a older and frailer man, but you're also a better one.
That's good to hear. It's for others to say, but I accept that with pride, because, it didn't have to be.
No, a lot of people don't grow. It's not guaranteed that people will learn from their experiences. People like to say with age comes wisdom, but I've seen a lot of evidence to the contrary. Sometimes with age comes ossification, a certainty of correctness that freezes people in wrongness. But you, ever the iconoclast, have shown an ability for reflection. You aren't always right, and I think you're actually quite often wrong.
Hey, watch that.
This was me swinging from an insult into a compliment. So let me stick the landing here. But you are someone who is willing to admit that perhaps you are wrong. You are capable of listening to feedback. Certainly more capable of listening to feedback than when I was in my 20s. You leave space in you to listen to a message that will change your mind, and that is a quality that is not as prevalent as perhaps it should be in people of your age and stature.
Well, thank you for that.
I intend to be here long after you are gone.
I wouldn't have it any other way.
I would hope not. I am 40 years younger than you. So the goal is to be here at least 40 years after.
I watched the TV show Yellowstone, and there's a character in there, Casey, who's the son, one of the sons of Dutton.
John Dutton, Kevin Costner.
The late John Dutton. And Casey is talking with his son, who is a teenager. And the teenage son says to his father, as they discuss the demise of the son's grandfather, says, "Dad, I don't want to have to bury you." And Casey says something like, "I don't want you to either. That the alternative is me burying the son instead of the son burying the father is just too grim to contemplate." It made me think about, the loss of a parent is one thing. The loss of a child is an order of magnitude greater a tragedy. Parents get old and they die. Children are supposed to outlive their parents. Parents are not supposed to bury their children. That's just tragic. I thought.
I agree. I don't think, obviously there's no guarantees in life. Things happen. People are struck down too young by illnesses, by circumstance, by accident, by their own hand. We can only control the things that we can control. I didn't have an end to that.
So with books like Love Letters and Elegies, Invisible Funerals, What Death Can Touch, is there, you have a moral, a theme, a through line about mortality that you could summarize succinctly?
So let's take a specific example. What Death Can Touch is the line from a poem of a Jewish mystic poet, Yehuda Halevi, poem named "'Tis a Fearful Thing," which instead of answering this question, I'm now going to read.
Will you say again the poet's name and the title of the poem?
Yehuda Halevi, "'Tis a Fearful Thing" by Yehuda Halevi.
You just happen to have it in your hand?
I pulled it up while you were talking at a certain point. "'Tis a fearful thing to love what death can touch. A fearful thing to love, to hope, to dream, to be and oh, to lose. A thing for fools this, and a holy thing to love. For your life has lived in me. Your laugh once lifted me. Your word was gift to me. To remember this brings painful joy. 'Tis a human thing, love, a holy thing, to love what death has touched. And so to answer your question, I guess death is the thing that gives everything that comes before it purpose. Alden wrote about the limited nature of time. We have to be conscious every second that passes is a second that we never get back.
Your brother Alden, in contemplating his own mortality, writing for the Sun-Times in Chicago.
Yes, something we spoke about earlier. And I think there has to be a careful balance between being aware of that, being cognizant of the imminence of death, something that is ever approaching for all of us, but also realizing that that is not something that can define how you approach your life or how you approach the people who are in your life and how you treat them. Obviously, you have to sort of plan for the future to not be frozen by the fear of something that is inevitably going to come. You at times have to act like you are going to live forever. You have to love people without constantly being frozen by the fear, the inevitability that you're going to lose them. All relationships end. All love is impermanent because we are impermanent.